everybody, and welcome back to my channel. So we are going to be continuing our discussion about Dead Like Me. We're going to be talking about episode 10. This episode is called Business Unfinished. So we discussed this idea of unfinished business with the Arthur Cook storyline. This episode focuses around one particular reap that Daisy has. This reap's name is Mary-Kate Horahan. She is a very rich business owner, and her son is going to take over the business once she dies, which she did, and Mary-Kate refuses to leave until she can finish her business. So the episode begins with George talking about how we all have this internal to-do list. We have things that we're trying to get done, and as soon as you get that thing done, you've got to do something else, and that's just kind of the nature of how life goes. And we see that happening with Mary-Kate as well, that she is not done with her business, and she's got to make sure that it's going to continue working on its own now that she's gone. So the time span of this particular episode seems to be about 3 to 5 days. So Daisy gets the reap, Mary-Kate refuses to go. Daisy recruits George and Mason to help her out. They attend the funeral. They get the son to go and participate in a seance. One night passes, and then they continue the seance the next night, and then Mary-Kate goes away. At least 4 days were carved out in order to have this whole experience. In George's work life, Millie gets responsibility to start collating the policy manual, which she starts to do until Daisy interrupts her and recruits her to help in this con act. And Millie also is now able to collect health benefits, which are pretty unnecessary for a Grim Reaper who has an automatic ability to heal, and literally nothing detrimental will ever happen to her because she needs to be in top physical condition in order to be a Reaper. So she's never really gonna get old enough to lose her eyesight or really to get sick. So the health benefits are vastly unneeded for Millie/George, but she qualifies for them per happy time. The B-plot of this episode is focused on Roxy's death, which we find out that she died in 1982. So next to George, she is the youngest Reaper because we found out that Mason died sometime in the 70s, Daisy died during filming of Gone with the Wind, and Rube died before the 1920s as far as we know up until this point. So we find out that Roxy died from her roommate killing her. Roxy invented, in this universe, the leg warmer, and her roommate didn't like that Roxy was making money off of it, so she killed Roxy and patented the idea so that she could make the money herself. The motivations are a little sketchy because, like, wouldn't you just try to, like, become your roommate's business partner and help them out rather than kill them and steal their idea? But so Roxy has a really hard time moving on from this event. She is in a really good mood. She brings balloons to all the other Reapers. She's just trying to dodge this idea of her death. And if you were to look at each different Reaper as if they were a stage of grief, Roxy is 100% anger. And in this episode, she vacillates completely to the other side and is just kind and polite to everybody. She even rips up a ticket that she was about to give to somebody. And we know that Roxy does not mess around with giving out tickets during her day job. So things are very shaken for Roxy. Rube meets with her every year. They kind of get rid of some old stuff of Roxy so that she can mourn and move on. And in this one, she destroys a dance tape. She destroys a little teddy bear, and she throws them in the fire, and she's just trying to get rid of these little pieces of her old life so that she can move on, because she just hasn't done it yet, which is interesting because it seems like everyone else has moved on from their death, but Roxy just can't let it go. And I think it is because of that idea of why did she die for something so silly like a leg warmer. So in the end of this episode, we are given something really interesting, which is we get a first glimpse at the Plague Division. So there are multiple divisions of death. Plague Division is one of them, and they handle plagues, as the name implies. But because there haven't been any in this world, they aren't doing anything. So it appears that they are working for the police force and just moving along in day jobs until something happens and they can start to reaping again. So Rube recruits them to stop Daisy. They barge in during the seance. They stop the seance from happening and they arrest Daisy. And Rube comes in and tells her that he's not going to tolerate her up to her old tricks, and mentions that she pulled these stunts back in New York, which is very possibly the reason why they transferred her out of New York, because she kept conning spirits out of their money, and they were like, hey, there's an opening, let's get her out of here and get her out of our hair. So Daisy was sent away, theoretically, because of her cons. So Rube puts the kibosh on and is like, you are not gonna do this anymore, I'm not gonna handle this. And we never see Daisy try this type of stunt again. She pulls other stunts, but not this one. And so he's like, don't ever do this again, you're done. And then he refers to her as the Amazing Daisy. And we don't know if that's just a nickname that Rube came up on the fly, although giving nicknames isn't really a thing that Rube does, other than calling George Peanut, because that's what he called his daughter. So another thing we can kind of take away from this episode is very possibly Daisy went by the Amazing Daisy in New York, and maybe she had some type of seance, home or hall, or maybe she pretended to be a fortune teller, and that's how she got her money after she died. It's something we can take away from the Between the Lines, and it adds a new layer to Daisy's character. So my two favorite quotes from this episode are both from Daisy. Surprise. The first quote that I really love is when she's chatting with George and trying to recruit her to help it with this con. She tells George, animals don't like money, we do. And the second quote is when she is talking to Matthew Horahan, and Mason is making a bunch of noise in the background, and Matthew asks if it's his mother that's making the noise, and Daisy says, no, this house is full of spirits, it's an occupational hazard. The timing is really funny. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next episode.